Outlaw Law is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Your law firm for life.
The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer. Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, where you can find them. Managing partners there, practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. Also joining us on the program, Cassandra Nicholas, an attorney at Whitaker and Hamer. She's out of the Morehead City office. And speaking of offices, they are conveniently located in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and that new office in Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. If you've got a legal situation you're facing, you can always call Whitaker and Hamer and get some answers. Here's the number, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact info, briefly what the call's about. An attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. And you can email your questions to the show. We'll answer them on a future broadcast. Questions at theoutlawlawyer.com. Josh?
You know, in thinking about our next topic is going to be the case Novak v. City of Parma, Ohio. And for us, this is only important because The Onion, a satirical, used to be an actual... They would print up a newspaper like when it got started, right? It had a physical.
I bet you appreciated that.
I did. I like to touch the paper, as you know. I like to feel the news, But you know what? Everybody knows what The Onion is, a satirical news outlet. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, and I mean, and lately, like you said, they used to print up a whole paper. Now they can just. It's as simple as they can just do a tweet with a headline, and that can be sufficient, But yes, biting satire.
So back before
that fools a lot of people, man. Fools a lot of people into being legitimate. Unfortunately,
it does. That's always the best. That's you see someone on social media share
when they share it and they just lose it about it. Yeah, it is good.
Believe this happened?
That's good. I feel that. Like you feel the news, I feel that when it happens.
So back before the internet, right? Back before the internet. The reason I found out about it is I went to a friend's house and his dad in the bathroom, because you used to have books in the bathroom, right? Because you didn't have phones.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you got to read something. You can't go to the bathroom and not read anything.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we all agree on that, right?
Yeah, for sure. We're not monsters.
Yeah.
View
behind the curtain. Thank you for that, Josh.
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Thanks.
So people used to have books in their bathroom, right? And so he had like this collection, this hardbound collection of Onion articles where they pretended like the Onion's been around since the turn of the century, so they just did the Onion's work, but they did it on old news stories. I was like, what is this? What is this hysterical,
You loved it.
But now, of course, when you have the interwebs, you can see the Onion all over the place. But
you had to go to that bathroom to get your fix.
Right.
What are you doing here, Josh? I was in the area.
You weren't even invited.
I was in the area. I ate a lot of hot dogs.
I just thought I'd come by.
Just let me hang out for an hour in your dad's bathroom.
So this, I don't know. I read like a brief on the facts, so I'm not dialed. I'm gonna watch this one now, but I'm not super dialed into it. But Novak was apparently a gentleman in Ohio who made a Facebook page that was just mimicking the local police department, and so he kind of took the Onion approach. It was kind of supposed to be satire.
He's trolling, basically, right? Yeah, he was kind of trolling.
And I guess at some point people got it confused with the actual police, and at some point the police arrested him. And he was criminally charged for maintaining this satirical, I think it was a Facebook page, if I'm not mistaken. But he was arrested, and so he's taken this fight all the way to the Supreme Court about satire, about parodying, and First Amendment free speech concerns. And so this is right up the Onion's. This affects them. And so we talked about what an amicus brief is before, but real quick, Cassandra, what's an amicus brief?
So it's in support of one side. So they took a side and put it in a bunch of legalese on a lot of pages and submitted it to hopefully sway the justices.
So when you remote in, I can just ask you a lot of questions. I'm not here looking at you, so I can just sporadically ask you questions.
Got to make sure you're paying attention.
Just to make sure you're there and you're tuned in.
I'm here.
So an amicus brief, amicus, I use all my Latin, my 2 years of high school Latin. Amicus means friend of the court. An amicus brief is you're a friend of the court, and so you're not a party, you're not representing a party, you're not an attorney. But it's Supreme Court litigation is so important to a lot of other people. They allow people who may be affected by the outcome to file a legal brief, a legal argument in support of or against, a party. And so the Onion has done that. They have hired an attorney and they have filed an amicus brief, a friend of the court brief, saying that, yes, all this should be protected. Everything this guy has done is an example of free speech. He shouldn't be able to be criminally charged. The biggest quote from this article I read was, imagine if the Onion were required to disclaim that. How do you say that?
Did we get a stumper of a word?
Yeah, it's
parodical.
Parodical headlines are in reality false. And so that goes to our friends on social media who may get fooled into thinking the Onion is a real news outlet and sharing the angry, can you believe Obama did this? It
says that this guy's Facebook page, he advertised a No Means No fair where residents could remove their names from the sex offender registry by completing a series of puzzles. There's some things,
and
man.
Someone locally believed that.
That is a disclaimer. That's a disclaimer that it is parodical in and of itself. Like, again, if there's anyone listening to this that regularly gets fooled by the Onion, you just search your heart, man. Like, if it seems too ridiculous to be true, and I say that, but we live in an ever increasing world of ridiculous things. So maybe we need those disclaimers, Josh.
Well,
there is a fine line on some Onion headlines, right? That could be real. I know it's the Onion.
That's
but
the art of it. That's the art.
Out of the realm of our world right now.
Well, another sign that our world is crazy is that the Onion is too liberal for some people, and so the Babylon Bee?
It's like the conservative.
It's the more
tilt.
conservative version of the Onion, which I believe has been deplatformed, or at least they're off Twitter or something. I can't remember, but I think that's a sign that we need. We're getting so separated. We need not only do we need our news outlet that kind of favors our viewpoint, but our satirical news outlet also has to favor our viewpoint. I enjoy them both equally.
Man, we talked a lot about the whole transformative property and the parody and the line between that. You ever seen the show Nathan For You, Josh?
I have not.
He did a thing where he made a company and he opened a location called Dumb Starbucks, and that you should check. Very pertinent. You should check that out. We talk about it on an episode. But basically, it went viral and people were coming. It was just Dumb Starbucks, but everything was identical. It was Dumb Starbucks and. Very similar. It all raises that question, man. Like, where we keep coming back to it. Where do you draw the line at between parody or between art? Where is that line?
That's all the Supreme Court does, man.
Police
Go ahead, Cassandra.
Facebook page does seem different than the Onion because the Onion has its own name. This one, they use the exact same profile picture, name of the page. We're removing any comments on the page, outing it as satire.
Yeah, this is. So I think this is much more clear.
I was going to say the U.S. Supreme Court is a habitual line drawer. Wasn't it from Charlie?
Yeah, he's a habitual. Yeah, Rick
stepper.
James was a habitual line stepper.
Yeah. So the Supreme Court is a habitual line drawer. I think we can all agree on that.
All right, The Onion in the books. The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, are your hosts. Managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. Also, Cassandra Nicholas, attorney at Whitaker and Hamer, joining us on the program this week. We have offices in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and Morehead City. If you have a legal situation you're facing and you need some answers to your questions, you can always call Whitaker and Hamer, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact info, briefly what the call's about, and an attorney will be in touch with you. And you can always email your questions to the show, questions@theoutlawlawyer.com. We're back to wrap it up right after this.